Got it. I love how, the computer voice tells me.
Alert, alert.
Alert,
This meeting is being recorded and we are live on Facebook. Jason.
We are.
How's your day going so far?
Hey, Kathy. Hey, everybody out there. Really good. We've had a return of an old friend. It's been quite a morning. I went out and I gave a real strong consideration to riding my bicycle this morning until I walked. I'm ready to go, and next thing you know, I get out there on my bike, and I don't even notice it at first, but it was raining hard enough for me to say, "Not today." So, so we just kind of didn't have to worry about that. But yeah, the rain's back at least for a little bit of this morning. I know the forecast is supposed to be sunny later today, so the only downside to that, right? What happens when it rains and then it's nice and beautiful sunshine afterwards? It gets real muggy. So.
And pollen, my eyes start itching.
Yeah, exactly.
But let me tell you, I'm jumping on that. I was so excited to hear the rain this morning train because, oh boy, did we miss that old friend. We really haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of rain this year. And I know that a lot of mornings fairly recently, I've heard like the little tap 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 of the mist and how it dews up on the leaves and things around my house, but it hasn't accumulated and it hasn't added up to anything. And as a matter of fact, I just got a report about the drought conditions, and we are in moderate drought conditions out here in the North Coast. How many times have we heard that in our lifetimes? I know not very much on my part for this area. I mean, really, it's been extremely dry.
And you know how I can tell that? Not withstanding from just seeing the weather reports and stuff, but when you drive by, places that were usually a little more green, grasses and fields and so forth, they're brown right now and they're tan. And I don't really maybe look at that so closely as when I'm driving, but I was editing some video that I'm working on right now, and I have a drone shot of up high, and I could see the very, very hard contrast of some of the really green trees and brown grass. So it was really interesting to see that. And yeah, I mean, we can all see that evidence. It happens slowly, so we don't all look at it. It's not like night and day kind of thing, but yeah, you can definitely see we're a little drier than we usually are. So yeah, our old friend Rain back there is really doing a good job this morning, kind of cleaning some stuff out for us, and it's even kind of a little cool, which is kind of nice,
Yeah, that is nice. And I mean, even though we feel cooler and we feel that moisture today, it's just a really good reminder that it really has been dry. And I know that if people in the area have driven out near the forests recently, you may have noticed even our trees out here suffered from that heat wave that we all had earlier this summer. And there's browning around the edges, and it looks like, oh my goodness, even our forest may be dying because of the heat. Luckily, most of those trees will probably recover because we in general haven't stayed that hot, but they are saying that more hot weather is on its way. So midweek next week, we may be experiencing another heat wave, including the coast. And so we may get up into the 80s and 90s out here at the coast by mid to end of next week. And so everybody needs to put on their hats and remember to think about, your thinking hat, and remember to think about keeping yourself, your house, your pets, your neighbors safe, and do exactly what you're doing there, Jason. Yes.
Just stay hydrated.
Water. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that your body will remind you of, either for some of us to be just a slight little thing, or as others of it, could be very, very attacking, very hard on your body if you don't keep yourself well hydrated. We might think that we go out in the gray and even misty day and stuff, and we might think, oh, hey, I don't have to worry too much about hydration. But you do have to worry about hydration. At least for me and my body, if I'm not hydrated just the way I should be and so forth, it's not a nice day.
Right. So Jason, we didn't talk about the order of what we were going to talk about things today. And I just think that, we've talked about the rain, we've talked about the dry weather. We all need to be fire prepared because that could happen. But I want to jump us into our conversation with something a little bit more exciting, in the whole transportation options world. We've been talking about these things and what could happen, and we talk about transportation options because we want people to have a well-rounded portfolio. Now, I want to show you a video of something that might be fun to add to my portfolio someday, because it might take, traveling out here on the coast to a whole different level. What do you think?
Oh, I am excited to see whatever you've got to show me. Let's see it, and I'll just react to it, okay? So,
okay.
These are transportation options, potential. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Let me see if
Everybody,
I can make it happen.
Let's watch this.
All right. Let's see. Is it happening?
I'm not seeing anything going right now.
What's going on? Are you seeing it yet?
No, I'm not. I just see a blank screen right now.
Should be coming. You see it?
No.
Okay, that's not right.
Now I do. Hey, there we go. Go ahead. Oh my gosh. I love it. I want to watch it. Come on. Woo! Look at that.
So I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but that right there is a flying car.
It is a flying car, and even though the video is a little choppy, I can still make out the fact that the vehicle is doing something that we all thought about at some point in our past.
It's something that we've all dreamed about and thought that, hey, this might someday become a reality. The Jetsons are happening, folks. The Jetsons is happening.
Yes. Wow, this is pretty amazing, I can't wait. I want to see if it can land. And I don't know how to drive it. It wouldn't fit downtown.
It's kind of like a cross between the Jetsons and Back to the Future. Check that out. Isn't that amazing? Just was flying, now I'm driving down the road. I just think that is just incredible. Check it out.
The technology of maybe the very first, at least, long that we've ever seen. Some of the dominance actually the mass that couldn't do what this would do, driving in the field. Yeah, definitely. I need applause on that. That's amazing,
no
Kathy.
Kidding. So I wonder what kind of license you need for that.
I don't know. I can't wait to see them hash all that out. But wouldn't that be neat as a transportation option? And I'd love to do some travel training on that thing.
Absolutely. And I did do some reading. So it's not just, private ownership that they're looking at for that, but they're looking at it for rideshare type of applications, so that, it could be a taxi, it could be a, Uber or Lyft type of thing. So what an amazing way to get a ride to Portland or, down to Newport in something like that. Just boom.
Well, hey, how about even just locally around here? Sometimes it takes me about an hour 20 minutes to get from the east end of Astoria, down to the south end of Seaside during certain parts of the summer. And I can tell you, if we got a hot day and I got to get all the way down there, everybody from the coast is going to come here. So wouldn't that be a great thing to be able to just take off on on a small, airstrip and land at the seaside airstrip. That would be one heck of a trip plan to put together, and I'd be right front center, ready to do that.
For sure, I'd be volunteering to accompany that person to offer to help, usher
Absolutely.
them along and make sure they got there safely and back.
Yeah. Cool. Well, the thing is looking at this stuff, and especially nowadays, and I am saying nowadays, it doesn't seem far-fetched that one day could be put into somebody's, what are we talking, transit path, right? That portfolio that you put away with all the different options available to do. I can't wait to see that continue to further develop and one day be ready for the masses. It would be fun. Of course, yes, I'm sure there's a lot of red tape and a lot of rules that have to be instated for that kind of stuff. But hey, I'm all for it coming to.
But how many of us thought we would ever actually really see that in our lifetimes? I mean, yeah.
I really didn't. But I'll tell you what, Kathy, as we move on into what we're going to be talking about here, I'll tell you, we visited with some people yesterday, some teens, and that group of teens right there, when they hit, my age, wow. I mean, we talked about that maybe 30, 40 years ago. It's like, oh, flying cars and stuff. Well, it's taken a long time to kind of get to where we're at today. But I think with today's technology and material sciences and so forth, and a lot of these kids, for crying out loud, I mean, they have things like we've never thought we'd ever have a, robotics lab, a computer engineering lab, software development labs and so forth. So I think maybe the next 20, 30 years is gonna be really exciting. And visiting with those kids, we're going to talk about that today. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is we had an opportunity, and you came along with me to do some travel training with a local high school and a bunch of kids to learn how to ride the bus. And I thought that was pretty exciting. So it's exciting to see where those kids are going to go. And it was exciting to visit with them and get them kind of used to the bus, right?
Absolutely. That was super fun. And to me, it's exciting to come out and do outreach things with you, Jason, especially when we're talking to the youth and helping them see, why it's so important to know about your transportation options and then exercise some of those transportation option muscles, build that portfolio, like we've said.
Yeah. And the thing is, Kathy, getting into conversation now, really what, you and I have a very important role to play here, within Sunset Empire. And one of those roles is to go out and outreach into the community and engage with people. And we weren't able to really do it that much in the last 15 months. But thankfully for, the situation we're in today, we can do that on a limited basis. And so meeting with a group of people from our community to help them learn about transit was really, really cool. So, what does it really mean, though, for us to get out there and engage our community? Why do we need to do that? What does it mean for us to do that?
Well, I know for me, it's important because it puts the person behind it, and it makes it so that we can personally talk and connect and show and talk to people about overcoming fears or obstacles or, opening those paths so that they know that they're not limited by where they live or where they go to school, that they have, that they have a whole world that's available to them. And in this case, at least our local community. And so they are not limited, especially once they get to high school age, by just where they live and not having a car. That's not a limiting thing, that they have lots of options.
I think that's the really cool thing, and we got to experience that yesterday. I just love, to be able to get out there and experience what we know, and, telling those teens that you're not limited. You can access, I always like to say, I like to help people access life or access their community. There's so much that stands in our way at times that we may feel like that we just can't get out and go do those things. But the reality is especially in transit, it's there for you. It's incredibly accessible. And for these teens to really make sure they understand, a lot of them when we're talking, they're doing something else. Their heads are somewhere else. But I've been assured, though, that they do this.
By your own in-house expert.
I mean, yes, exactly. And, they listen. So I really get the feeling that, they heard us kind of really implore to them that, this is a real option for you. And quite frankly, for those of you out there, it could be the best option for a teen. There's teens out there, they want that, they want a little bit of freedom from mom and dad. I mean, who doesn't, right? They want to be able to go visit their friend, maybe perhaps always with permission from your mom and dad, but they want to do those things. And sometimes mom and dad or other transportation, a lot of them just give up. But hey, transit is available, and I feel like making that perfectly clear is really, for me, at the heart of the reason why I like to get out and engage the community.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm a firm believer in not only growing your transportation path portfolio, but also growing your independence and growing, your ability to make choices and think on your feet, literally, and, make those choices and learn about where to go, how to go, who to talk to, how to talk to them, and deciding as you do that, what things are important to you and growing those kinds of things. It's all becoming, this person that has, I use the word options a lot. I can't help it. Absolutely. I keep trying to pick a different one, but that really is the best word.
Yes. Right. You're absolutely right. Transportation options it's hard to find anything else that aptly describes what we're talking about. But, so we really kind of roll into now, we know that it's important for us to get out. You and I love doing that. It's important. But, really, what are the type of engagements that we do? And there are differing engagements. Yes. But, engagement at its core is about bringing information to people. And like you say, being there. So they put that face behind, the company or whatever that you're doing. But yesterday was a very practical, hands-on approach to outreach. There are other means of outreach, and Kathy, you probably do a lot more of those too than I do, which is you go to meetings all over the place. You're talking to community members, and so forth, right? And that's a form of outreach that might not be so on. So
right, and providing information and just making those things available, and and
helping people problem solve, right? That's a big thing for me is people call me and say, I don't know how to get to where I need to go on the bus. Okay, well, let me help you. So we help, problem solve that. I feel like yesterday, we had that educational piece. We had that very practical instruction. And I thought it was just really cool to be able to be there and to show them, to talk with them in person. We actually had a bus there, and I know that was a lot of fun to be on the bus. We had a bus driver from our company there that also gave us some wonderful pieces of information that maybe you or I wouldn't have thought about and so forth. But it was that opportunity to get people in this particular way of engagement, which was very important for these teens, was to feel, see, touch, and thankfully not have to smell too much. But
it's those beginning stages of building that muscle memory, and within that, with building that muscle memory comes the ability to do it with confidence and break down obstacles and fears.
Yep. Yeah, and these kids, most of them have never ridden the city bus before, and that was another very important thing that we did was distinguish the differences between the school bus and the city bus. And so, for example, we had a bicycle on the bus. That was another great thing about being in person, right? Is we're able to bring, these items or props or whatever to show them how to do that, because that's one of the main reasons, especially new riders, they don't get that. Yeah, you could complete part of your trip and then take the bus. So a lot of them, not knowing that, will see that as a barrier and just not go somewhere. They'll just say, well, I don't know how to do that, so
I don't live anywhere near a bus stop, so I'm just not going to ride the bus. Yeah.
And so, these kids were able to see, and let's admit it, and kids today still ride bikes. It was really cool to be there, and we had a young gentleman be able to come up and he showed us how to lift up or pull down the rack and lift the bike into into the rack and then to properly secure the bike and so forth. And I don't know about you, Kathy, I've been doing it quite a bit, but it felt easy.
Mhm.
It felt like it wasn't too much to have to explain for them to see that, you know what, again, you can do it.
Right. And I think that one of the best things is this is something that we can really do and arrange for any group of people. So we did it yesterday in Astoria with Astoria high schools students, but we could do this anywhere. And it's this hands-on, like, ride the bus clinic, and it just breaks down so many barriers. And I got to tell you, even I learned something yesterday. So when you were loading that bicycle on there, I learned about loading the bicycle on the bus and the clamp thing, where the right placement was.
Cool.
So I didn't realize one place was better than the other. You know, if it like settles in one place, maybe that's not the best place and there's a better place for it to go. And so even somebody that works and does these things all the time may not realize, oh, right, this is a better place, not, you know, just wherever it lands. So perfect.
It's cool that you say that, Kathy, because, you know, we spoke to a group of people yesterday, and, you know, not all outreach is in a group setting. Some of it's just with one individual, but I love the group setting because even though we didn't get a lot of questions yesterday, you know, hey, you teens out there, you know, we're there and for you. And if you have any questions, you know, make sure you ask us questions, especially when you got us, you know, right next to you. We can talk. But
if you want to ask now, put them in the comments. We'll answer them later. Yeah.
But the cool thing is, in that group, you know, there might be someone that, you know, as we're talking, you know, speaking to these people, you know, we're looking at different people as we're talking, right? And sometimes you might focus on someone who might look interested, but might be a little scared to speak up. So you kind of speak, maybe you know that you need to be a little more rich with the information at that moment. And so being in that group and seeing that individual, it allowed me to kind of enrich the message a little bit, which might perhaps have, you know, helped out, you know, for the whole group. Mm-hmm. So I love outreaching with groups. I tend to call those kind of outreach, you know, transit engagements, because it's kind of this holistic way of bringing people in. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad you learned that little extra tip yesterday.
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, and that's one of the things that I like best about outreach and engagement, is that when you're having that two-way dialogue, that conversation about things, you may be touching on things that somebody doesn't even know they don't know. And Very so true. If it's just a back and forth question answer thing, you're hitting your list of things, you're checking the boxes, and then you're done. But if you're having that two-way conversation, and you're in person, you have the opportunity to kind of expand on things that you may not even realize you're talking about, things that help focus or answer questions or bring it home for people.
You know, speaking of bringing it home, that group that we worked with yesterday, the really neat thing, part of what we did yesterday was to give them some crash experience. We weren't able
literal
to
crash, not literal crash.
No, but like a crash course in bus riding, because they have a big trip they're going to today.
Right now.
Right now. And they have to be able to kind of experience up there and TriMet's system. And so most of those kids had never even experienced, you know, anything to do with city bus. So having them on yesterday was really important to talk about things. And so, you know, Kathy, we had very varied, you know, aspects of training that we did yesterday. And I thought it was really cool. You know, we were able to sit there and talk about, you know, the use of multiple transportation options. And we spoke about, you know, how we were walking, right? And we thought about that, hey, that's a transportation options. And it was really neat how we were able to kind of start going down that road. You know, we talked about transportation options. We spoke about, you know, how to prepare for your journey, how to get ready, you know, it was really important, you know, learning how to keep safe and making sure the bus driver sees you and stuff, and learning how to commute on transferring of buses. That's a very important aspect of travel training. You know, we spoke about a variety of things, learning how to speak with your driver. A lot of us are kind of shy. We don't like to say hi, But you know what? That is very helpful to somebody who's learning how to ride the bus. Just talk to your driver, say, hi, I'm on the bus going to Freddy's, right? Of course you are. Woohoo! Now you get on the bus and you're ready to go, right? So we had a lot of good opportunities. Was there anything like at all by any chance yesterday, Kathy, as we were training, maybe other than that bicycle part, that you might have thought, boy, that was a pretty good nugget of information. That was good that they were able to learn that at all by any chance?
Well, yeah, I think it was really, there was the nugget about, you may know what you're doing and you may know where you know that you are going the right direction and you're confident about riding the bus, you do it all the time. But the piece of information that, communicating with the driver can add, kind of, to me, brings in bonus features of the riding the bus game. Because especially if you're making a connection or you ride that same bus all the time and you're just doing that check-in with the driver as you're getting on, hey, I'm heading to Seaside Cinemas, or I'm going down to Cannon Beach today, and you're getting on the 101, it adds to me, the bonus feature is then the driver knows when that connection, when they drop you off in Seaside, that you want to make a connection with the bus that goes to Cannon Beach. And if you didn't happen to mention that bus to Cannon Beach may call the Seaside, the 101 bus and say, hey, do you have anybody for me? And the bus driver is going to say no.
Yeah.
And if that connection is tight, that Cannon Beach bus might take off before you get there.
Absolutely.
So, just letting them know then makes that transition nice and smooth and easy, helps you get to where you want to go more easily. And that has nothing to do with you not being confident and not knowing what you're doing. You know what you're doing and you want to make that connection. So you're going to let the driver help you.
That's cool. I one thing that I even doing the travel training bit, with them and so forth, a nugget that really, kind of kept with me really much was rider etiquette, when we were on there, and it was really important to let teens, especially younger people, let them know that, hey, when you're on a bus, you have to be prepared to move out of a seat if there's an older adult or a person with disability, permanent disability, temporary disability, doesn't matter. If you need to be ready to give up your seat to somebody else. And I think that's a lot. I think it's lost on a lot of people that they have to do that. Because when I do some training with older adults, I get that a lot. I get that there's people aren't very considerate, and it's because they're in their phones or something. Well, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's really cool to know that our bus drivers will see that and they're trained to get up and with wonderful customer service remind whoever's sitting in that seat that they might have to get up so that someone with that disability or like me sometimes with a bad knee or whatever, let's give them that seat. So I really like to remind people that from time to time. It's important that we
Jason,
do that.
were you just calling yourself old?
What time is it? Yes, absolutely. I have really bad knees from years of football and a lot of basketball that I probably shouldn't have been playing. And you know what? Siri actually just told me you're right.
That's
the reality
funny.
is, my knees are bad sometimes. And I think it's important for people to know that even if your knees are bad, don't feel like you have to walk up those steps. If your knees are giving you problems, I've had plenty of people who have just had knee surgery or their knees are feeling really, really bad. Come on, there's those of us out there that feel that it's okay to ask to use the lift. All of our buses are ADA accessible and you can use the lift. Get on that lift, get on the bus and go to where you need to go. You can do that. And
that was a perfect segue because yes, Jason, it's not always apparent to everybody when somebody is suffering. And so, this is something you don't have to suffer through. If you need a little literal lift up into the bus rather than trying to get up those big steps, because they are big steps, all you have to do is communicate with the driver and ask them to give you a lift.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I'm that's one of the most exciting things that I like to talk about when I'm out there with people is to know that, hey, we are fully accessible for anybody who needs to ride our bus. Come on, we can get you to where you need to go. So, but I'll tell you what, I don't know, Kathy, when, I know we did this kind of team up yesterday and so forth, but we don't always do that. We have our own independent engagements we do and so forth and everything. But what do we hope to accomplish when we are attempting to engage people about transit? I know yesterday with that particular group, that particular age group, I want to get people who have maybe never ridden the bus before. I want to get them on the bus and riding the bus. And so I feel that the education that they get from when we were there yesterday might help entice them, might remove some barriers of, them being a little unsure about riding the bus. Well, now maybe they might do that, in the future. I want to see them come ride the bus. So, that's some of the things that I hope to accomplish when I'm doing a lot of my outreach, is to increase the opportunity for anybody who want to ride the bus. What about you? What's one of your things that you like to really focus on when you go out to outreach?
So like what I like to focus on is drawing attention to the fact of what all the options are that we have, because people think that, oh, we live rurally, I don't really have any other option other than saving up and buying a car and maintaining a car and having a car. And
Right.
Really, even though we're rural, we have a transit system.
Yeah.
You have the ability to choose an option that is powered by your own body, and whether that is walking or rolling with a mobility device or scooter or skateboard or bicycle or, the list goes on and on. I think that people forget that those all are transportation options. That's not all driven by motorized vehicles or engine powered. There's so many options. And I may not be able to realistically walk to Astoria to be able to go grocery shopping. That
Sure.
may not be a realistic option, but I can certainly pair walking or biking or rolling with a transit ride, and then maybe a taxi ride in Astoria, or walking or rolling again. There's ways to knit those things together and create a network for yourself.
Yeah.
And so that is my goal, is to make people really realize that those are viable options.
Well, that is so awesome, because I'll tell you what, when our weeks go by really fast, this week went by fast for me. I mean, really, and I know that's cliche to say that. Months, years go by for people really fast. And sometimes we forget to stop and smell. I was going to say, smell your options, but the saying is to smell the roses, right?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know if you want to stop and smell all of the options, but the reality is, there are so many options, like you're saying, out there. And a lot of us tend to get so busy with our lives that we just focus on what is usually, in some cases, the easiest. But I think there are plenty of people out there who own vehicles who will say that sometimes that's not the easiest form of transportation option. But yeah, being able to hear you when you're out there outreaching and so forth is really cool, because again, it does even bump into my head, and I work with you that, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, walking. Yeah, that's a transportation option. And that's
well,
really
hey,
cool.
and I just want to take this opportunity before we wrap it all up to point out behind me here is the Get There Challenge. And yes, it's in October, which is a little ways away still, but now's a great time to get signed up so that you can check out the website, you can see what's available on there, and you can really see all the tools that are built into that website to help you explore different options than the way you normally get around. And so that can include your car, but maybe, when we are back into a safer range of sharing a small space, you can create a carpool with people that are going the same direction with you. And, I just love the fact that things are easier now, and you can do things electronically that used to take a lot of organizing and walking around and talking to people. You can do it all electronically and organize carpools or school pools or van pools even, or, ride shares. It's all on there. And then once you get in the habit of it, when the challenge rolls around, you'll be lined up to win prizes and lots of potential fun like that. So
that's awesome, Kathy. And really, I love it when you demo that. Maybe we can next week or another show can demo it again, as we get closer to October and see everything on there. I love going in and plugging in, my rides. I don't like it when I got to go in there and plug in that I took my single occupancy vehicle I don't like plugging in those trips. I love it when I plug in my bicycle trips. So, but still, you got to go in there. You got to plug in all the information. It's fun to do that. It's fun to see yourself, moving on. But Kathy, here we are again. We talked about things going really fast, and we're here at this time again where we've gone over on the show, and I think it's just indicative of how much fun it is. But I definitely want to make sure that I say a couple things before we sign off, before you sign off, please. Don't forget to like and share, this. If you go into YouTube or Facebook, live, and you're watching this, and we want others to, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Where's my hand? Where is it? There it is.
There it is. Yes.
Hit that like button.
Hit that like button, please. Get out there, because we want people to see this. And, it's not just for viewership. We feel like there are pieces of information that we feel that there's just that one person out there maybe who could watch this show and maybe realize, hey, I can do transit. So please like and share that. Go over to our YouTube page. We do have a YouTube page. Sunset Empire Transportation District has a YouTube page, and there's some pretty cool content on there. And soon a new piece of content that's coming up is really, really important. Not to say that the others aren't, but remember, we are in a driver's shortage right now. All of our counties are potentially hiring drivers. So please, if you're out there and you want to start a career, or you feel like you might have a change of a career or something like that, driving bus or any other employment opportunity through your local transportation district, whether it's Columbia County Ryder, or it's Tillamook County Transportation District, the WAVE, or us, Sunset Empire Transportation District, there are opportunities here for you to kind of start a career and really help your community out. So please don't forget about those things. And Kathy, I'll throw it right back to you.
All right. Well, like you said, we already ran over time, so I'm going to make it quick and short. We all know what we need to do right now. The Delta variant is surging. We need to keep each other safe, keep our community safe. We don't want the kids to start getting hit with this. So we need to wear our face coverings. It's still required on all buses, and keep your Elks distance apart. If you aren't feeling well, stay home, keep yourself healthy, keep your community healthy, and let's get through this pandemic. We all want to get to the other side. We all want to get to where we're a little bit freer and can move about the cabin freely. So
there we go.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next
Take
week.
care. All right.
Another transportation.